Big story that came out yesterday from Mike Keegan, who said that Sky Sports pundits have been urged to stick to the facts when the 115 verdict drops. An email warns against making snap judgments when the verdict comes out within the next month or so. What do you make of that?
I mean, I did a video on this on That's Football, sort of talking about, is it an indication that Man City are going to get found not guilty, which I don't think it is. I think what this actually is, and that doesn't mean that Man City won't get found guilty. I think this is, you can read it both ways, because if they did get found guilty and old Carragher's there with his face going red again and he's going, good, yeah, send them down to the National League, they're a bunch of cheats, then that could potentially cause problems for Sky, because he's a Sky employee. And as we know, what you do on your business's time kicks back on the business for any potential issues that may arise. So I understand it from Sky's point of view. But then the flip side of that is, and this is why shows like this and what we do in general is very important, is that, for me, that these and there's an even infiltration into YouTube with the likes of, Rio and Overlap and all this stuff, is that they are still media backed in one way, shape or form. Their producers are ex-media, etc. So they're media trained. And what that also says to me is that Sky are saying, don't say what you think, because you might get us into trouble. So it's just a clear indicator again, isn't it, that the mainstream is just basically scripted. You're not getting proper opinion. And if I was on Sky, I would say what I bloody well thought, and I'd reply to them and say, do you really think I'm going to say something that's going to get you sued? I'm not an idiot, but I am going to put my opinion across. And I don't necessarily agree with everything Simon Jordan says, but Simon Jordan will say what he thinks about that on TalkSport, because he's intelligent enough to know he can have a strong opinion on it without leaving himself open to, being sued or anything like that. So my thought is just, but I've said this before about the cozy relationship between Sky and the PGMOL. Like, they're not, the pundits don't say anything bad about the PGMOL because there's a relationship there. So it's just the dilution of mainstream, really. And I'm glad it came out, because it just shows you, you're not getting proper opinion on there. You're getting diluted opinion.
No, I agree. I don't think it's an indicator that it means they're guilty or being found innocent at this particular point, because I think the logic works both ways. Because what Sky is saying is, if they're cleared, we don't want any of you saying, well, they're cleared, but it's because of this reason, and then you misinterpret it and you make it sound like they are guilty, which you could be sued for. Equally, if they are found guilty, but only a percentage of the charges, they won't want pundits saying, well, they're guilty, 115 charges, they're cheats, strip the titles, because actually maybe they're only guilty of not cooperating and they can't prove the rest of it, so the punishment will be different. But as you say, there is always a watered down. I mean, unless they're criticizing Man United, actually, it always feels like and I know we criticize our football club and we call things out, but I always feel when it comes to Man United and Arsenal, we've already mentioned them on the show, it seems to be completely unfiltered. With every other club, there is always an element of, we won't disrespect this, or we won't say this, or we won't challenge there. Let's wait for the facts to come out before we have an opinion. But you don't wait for the facts to come out about anything to do with Man United ever. It's always, let's talk about it. It's only speculation, but let's go in on it. And I even saw it the other day. It was Garnacho played. And the commentators are sitting there and saying, I wonder if he'll storm off down the tunnel today. But it was already debunked 4 or 5 days earlier that he told the bench, I'm just going to go and change my clothes because they're soaking wet. And it's like, how are you still pushing the narrative that he stormed off down the tunnel when he didn't? It's kind of weird. But yeah, as you say, the mainstream media is dying. It's why, I know we featured the Overlap earlier, nothing against the show or anyone who goes on it, but it's just the mainstream's attempt to stay relevant by taking content creators and making a show with them. I just think the content creators should make the shows themselves.
Would you go on it?
I say yes and no. No, because I would rather build something. I'd rather us as a community build something ourselves that where we not control the narrative, because that's not what I ever try to do. Where I think fan content is at the heart of it, and it's about making fan content bigger as opposed to trying to keep the mainstream relevant. So that element, I'd rather build my own. Where I would like to go on it is I'm sometimes very unhappy with the way Man United are discussed, the facts that they don't push out that are properly, and what I consider to be some of the lies that are said on there. And I'm not suggesting the United fans don't challenge and don't do a good job. I would just like to see what they had to say to my opinion. And some of it isn't even directly about United now. It's like I keep seeing debates on there about Mo Salah being clear of Beckham. Why are we comparing an inside forward or a right winger with a right midfield player? I just, it's conversations like that I just want to shut down. Not because the people on there saying it are bad, but I just feel we're comparing an apple with an orange here. So there's bits and bits. Yeah, but at the same time, I'll be blunt with you. This is not. I don't ever get asked to do anything, mate. So it's so unlikely they're going to ask me to come on. I think I've called out the mainstream media far too often. I mean, I'm blocked by Sky. I'm blocked by Talksport, all of them. And I've never actually said anything nasty about any of them. It's just been, I think that opinion's wrong. The amount of those accounts that have blocked me is crazy. Crazy.
I just think my thought of it is I think some of them are good. I don't think they select the best content creators. I think they select the content creators that kiss arse a little bit. There's 4 or 5 of them on there that are like that, which I've said before. And also, I just find it quite insulting. I don't actually respect players and pundits as opinions. So why should I sit in an audience with my hand up? I think the last 10 years hasn't been about that. And I actually think it's quite a clever way. And I think the overlap's good. And I think what they've built's really good. But I think they've been very clever in how they deal with fans, because they saw fan opinion and fan content as a threat. And they've taken this mainstream approach into the YouTube world, whilst also diluting the fan threat by sticking them in the background and asking them to put the hand up. So they were losing player credibility. And now they've created something that, you know, these fan content creators who were creating something themselves, they go on and go, can I have my hand up? Oh, can I laugh? You know, and I just think that's not what I'm in this game for. I'm in this game for fan opinion to be the elite opinion. We've just mentioned there about Sky and its dilution. So yeah, for me, I just think I did get asked to do it a few years ago, and I said no because of somebody else who was on the panel, not a player. And obviously, I don't think Gary definitely doesn't like me anyway. But for me, it would be a no in that current format anyway. I'm not interested in sitting in the background and putting my hand up. And that's not disrespectful to those who do it, and that's not me being arrogant saying I'm not going to sit in the background. But I feel I've built something very, very significant, as yourself, as people like Robbie. Don't think I need to sit in the background on a bench with my hand up, to be honest.
Do you know what? I understand where you're coming from, because I think, and again, it's not a dig on anyone who's doing it, because everybody has a different view of where they want to be and what they want to do from an industry perspective. But I do think content creators have got, it's ain't about the overlap specifically, content creators have got to be careful. And I mean that because I think what the mainstream wants to do is to try and take you away from your platforms, take you away from our community as much as possible to help them, so that our community doesn't continue to grow. And then at some point, you're not going to be flavor of the month. Somebody else is going to come along and you're going to be pushed by the wayside. Just don't forget to keep growing your platform. Don't burn your relationships with people in this community, because we have the power to continue growing and getting bigger and better. So I don't have an issue with anyone who does it. I don't look at it and go, you bastards. It's never in my mind. It's just be mindful of these things, because I can remember 10 years ago who the faces were the mainstream media wanted on. None of them are used anymore. None of them are spoken to. They've all been kicked to the curb for a younger model, which happens in TV world, and it will happen again. So what I'm essentially saying is don't turn your back on the fan media industry and the people like us that are in it. And I'm talking about whether it's channels with 4,000 subs or 4 million subs. I'm talking the whole community as one. Don't turn your back. And even our own communities, still so much infighting and crabs in a bucket mentality, when actually I don't think people realize we should be helping to prop each other up, as opposed to trying to drag each other down, because that's what the mainstream media wants, is division amongst us. And then everybody clambering. Is that the word? Clambering. I don't know what. To work with them, because it gives them the monopoly again, which I feel like we were in a really good position as fan media and content creators and growing. So, no, but listen, I don't dislike the shows. I watch the Stick to Football podcast. I like listening to Roy Keane and Ian Wright go at it, to be fair, and things like that. So I do listen to some of it. I listen to TalkSport daily, but I actually listen to TalkSport for the callers. I like hearing the fan opinion, which is still why I listen to it. But I don't really listen to it to hear Jamie O'Hara give an opinion, if I'm being honest. But that's just me. Look, viewers, we'd love to get your opinions on all of this. We'll be back again same time next week if you enjoyed this. So leave us your comments below. If during the week there's anything you want us to react to, any opinions, any pundits that you think, I'd love to get Mark and Terry's opinion on, send them in to us, DM it to us, or whatever we want to do, or tag a link in the comments section and we'll try and feature it. Go and check out the squad on Rumble now by scanning that QR code that is on the screen. We've got more planned for this channel coming forward as well. And we've got a little bit of work coming up together, haven't we, with myself on the United Stand and That's Football. And exciting times ahead.